will be very quick in presenting Airbnb. We are a global marketplace for spaces. We provide a safe environment for hosts, welcome a traveler in the house and guests to connect and to contract with each other. We don't actually own any space. We don't manage apartments or tourism residents. We are just a platform. And conversely, I would say to lots of US companies, we have more than the majority of our business in Europe. And we have listings, so accommodation, in every single 28 member states. So that's why also we pay a great interest to Europe and what are the debates today, and not only in the Commission but also in the Parliament and with member states. So the topic we discussed today, collaborative economy, sharing economy, whatever you want to call it, and competition, to my mind, raised two big questions. The first one, is there a winner-takes-it-all situation? And the second one is collaborative economy, a fair competition to traditional industry. I mean, these are the two topics with previous speaker have already touched upon, but I think it's important to come back to them. So the first question is there an advantage of being the first one? Is there a winner takes it all? Is there a market effect? Is there a dominant position? I would say that for Airbnb, as far as we're concerned, we've been created in 2008. I would say it's a little bit too early to draw a conclusion whether we are dominant or not. Yes, we benefit from evident market power, but we have lots of competition, and we have not invented at all home sharing. I mean, people have been sharing their home for ages. What we've done is that we've provided a secure platform with secure payments, and we've extended home sharing to primary residences, because it was, usually you went on holidays, you rent a secondary residence or whatever, but you did not rent your primary residence. So I would say that, and second point, we have plenty of competition. I will not quote them because I'm not going to do free advertisement tonight, but we have plenty. And they are ancient players. I mean, they've been there before, right? So I would say there is not really a winner-takes-it-all situation, and that's the beauty of the internet, and that's the beauty of the e-commerce directive, as Stefan mentioned, because it has provided new players the perfect environment to grow. And here, one of the key messages I would like to deliver tonight is clarity of the legal framework is really key. So please do not over-regulate the small startup and bigger startups that are developing now. So I would like to draw a little bit to the benefits of home sharing, and why is it good for not only for the consumer but also for the economy and for the society. So for the consumer, obviously, it has been repeated many times, it broadens the offer, it also reduces costs, but mainly it's the use of the platform, such as Airbnb, allow a fantastic and I would say optimal matching between the supply and offer. Whether you want to go on holidays for a week in Greece, or you want just to spend 2 nights in London or 1 night in Berlin, you will find what you want, whether you're traveling on solo or you're traveling with your family. The second aspect, and this is on the provider side, and it also broadens the channels on which the provider can advertise and offer. We are a platform, Airbnb, but we have, again, other competitors, and we've observed that several of our users use several platforms, whether they want to target a specific audience or not. So that's good for the consumer as a traveler, but also for the consumer as a host. And I would say also, here I will not develop because Fabienne perfectly mentioned that, it provides trust in the transaction. We have built plenty of tools on the platform, not only to provide secured payments, but also to provide secured ID. We have a 24 hours customer service, 22 languages, round the clock. We have a host guarantee, we have a host insurance, and we have a very efficient, I would say, review system. So I don't know, and if you've used Airbnb, you see what I refer to. That's a very specific double-blind recommendation system, meaning that there cannot be fake review on the website. I mean, you must have actually spent time in the accommodation to be allowed to write a review. And that's some of the best practices today in the industry. So that's for the consumer. I would say for the industry, what we've observed that Airbnb and home sharing development had to grow the pie of tourism. A lot of people that we've asked the question said we would never have traveled with Airbnb, or we would not have traveled that long. So the effect, obviously, is very positive. Airbnb travelers stay longer, almost twice the average length in a hotel, for instance, and they spend a lot more in the local shops and local leisure, and they go to the cinema, etc., etc. And that's why we think that it's really a complementary offer to the traditional provider and to traditional hotels. If you are on a business trip in Brussels, you stay one night, you will go to the hotel. But if you extend your stay with your family still in Brussels, you may want to prefer Airbnb because you will have access to more amenities, because you will have more space for your children, because it will be cheaper. And for the economy as a whole, I mean, the impact is quite obvious again, because there is the revenue earned by the hosts, and there is the additional spending spent by the travelers. We've published last week a study on France, and we've observed that over 12 months, the positive impact of Airbnb on the French economy has been assessed to 2.5 billion euros. It includes revenue from hosts and spending from the guests. That's quite a huge number. So you see, it's something interesting, I think, to mention. A point I wanted to touch upon, because you were referring to Vicky earlier, is that our hosts, the one who provide the accommodation, are really regular people. They earn like 2,000 euro per year. They rent, in average, their space for 25 nights a year. I mean, this revenue is not something that will allow them to quit their job or to do something else. It's a complementary revenue. And in France, if we look at France again, sorry, it's a little bit I take my country as a reference, but in France we've observed that more than 55% of our hosts earn less than the median revenue in France. So of course this additional income they can make on Airbnb is much more than welcome. I will shortly touch upon the societal aspect, because it's topical as well. I mean, we have the COP21 today started yesterday in Paris, and of course Airbnb and as other players of the sharing economy allow a better allocation of resources, a better use of assets, and in this manner it's also a positive contribution. So now the second part, I mean, is one of the key messages I would like to deliver tonight as well is that collaborative economy is not a jungle. I mean, it has been repeated many times, but we are already regulated by the e-commerce directive. We have to follow data protection regulation. We have to follow consumer law, etc., etc. We are not, we are disruptive, but we are evolving in a very clear framework, and there is according to us, there is no need to do more, or if there is something that needs to be adapted, it should be really a light touch situation. So that's for the platforms. When it comes to hosts or user, the situation is a little bit more complex. And the good news is that the European Commission is looking at it through the digital single market strategy, but also through the internal market strategy. The situation is as follows. I mean, most of the time, home sharing is regulated either as housing legislation or as tourism legislation, and so it depends from member state to member state. So, for instance, in Paris today, you are totally free. I mean, to rent your primary residence. You don't have any administrative process to follow. It's very simple, but you cannot do the same in Barcelona. And when we talk about the completion of digital single market, we shall keep in mind that this also needs to happen on the ground, and we cannot have digital single market without internal market. So fortunately, over the past months, several member states have taken innovative approach toward home sharing. So that's the case of France, it's the case of Amsterdam, it's the case of the UK, who have been leader in this aspect. But at the same time, other member states are just doing the opposite way. right? And unfortunately, Brussels is one of the examples today. I mean, the region of Brussels is taking a very, I would say, archaic and traditional approach, trying to stick ancient legislation on new models. And that's one of the risks we face today. I will just finish with the tax issue because you asked also to mention it. Another important topic is the tax framework. And here again, if we can help simplify the things for our user, we'll do it gladly. That's what we did in France for the collection of tourist tax. As you may know, in some cities, travelers and tourists are submitted to tourist tax. And it's a very complex process because basically you have one different tariff for each cities, for each category of accommodation. The host has to gather maybe €5.20 for a year and then bring it to the municipality is not easy. So we said, okay, but since the payment transits through the platform, we can collect it and remit it at the end of the year to the municipalities. And so we closed the deal with the French government, and we started to implement tourist tax collection on 1st of October in Paris. So I think that's one of a good example how platform and sharing economy can strongly collaborate with government and ease what was so far very complex. So I will stop there.